And I heard a kitty.
Yeah.
Is that Merlin?
Yeah, Merlin, you remember? Yeah, like in this room, they don't like being locked out and shit. So if you hear them, hopefully.
We love cats. I think our listeners have to like cats just by law of transference.
We're very cat friendly.
We're cat friendly. My cat might make an appearance. We'll see. So, yeah. Anyway.
You might hear my husband upstairs like, shut up.
It's all part of the ambiance. Yeah. Yes. Thank you for clarifying that. Like, are you under duress right now? Do we need to call somebody? That would be the first ever rescue that we've done.
That would be pretty intense.
Yeah. Like, save me. These cats.
Oh my God. Anyway. Hey, Chelsea.
Hey, Victoria.
You know what I need?
What?
A breath of fresh movie.
Oh, what? Me too. That's crazy. I need to get
You were
closer.
so far from the mic.
I didn't realize until just now. I don't know.
Do you want to take that again?
Looking at like notes and
okay, perfect.
Yeah, no worries.
Like, few notes that I took.
No, you have to, because otherwise your brain will try to just smash it out of your memory, because it's like, what was that? No.
This is an easy one to be like, whoa, what?
Yeah,
just like zone out on it.
Totally. Yeah. Okay, so this is a breath of fresh movie, a podcast where we, Chelsea, who's over there,
I'm Chelsea Pope,
and Victoria, who's me over here.
Yep.
We watch a movie we've never seen. Sometimes we have a friend with us. And then we talk about it. And this week's film is the 1989 comedy U.H.F., directed by Jay Levy and written by Weird Al Yankovic and Jay Levy. And of course, starring Weird Al Yankovic. But this week, we have a guest joining us for a discussion. She is a director, writer, and producer whose first feature film, The Influencer, a dark comedy thriller, is now available to rent on major platforms such as Amazon, Apple TV, iTunes, Google Play, Xbox, all that shit. You can go find it there.
All the shit.
Yeah, because you're smart.
She's
welcome.
everywhere.
Welcome, Megan. It's so nice to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Spine. That's so fun.
No, it's great.
So, I mean, Megan, we sent you a list like we always do. You know, we're like, here's things we've never seen. And like, is anything on here a jive with you? You picked UHF. What made you pick this?
I think it was something that I'd seen around in like, the cult film world. And it's kind of one of those things that you're probably not going to sit down to watch it by yourself, like unless you have a reason.
Yeah.
So this was a great reason to finally sit down and watch it.
I feel like that's often what we give people. It's just a reason.
No, but that's actually like a really good reason, because I mean, for the same reasons, I never touched this movie. I thought this was called UF. I thought it was like I'm like, I want to really like, I'm still mourning that that's not the technical.
When you say
for years I was like, oh yeah, that Weird Al UF movie.
I thought from you for a second you meant like just now you learned, like just
from us this, not like right this very second. No. I figured it out while I watched the movie.
Okay.
That was when I figured it out.
Okay.
I hadn't put it I thought it was just, I don't know, like I thought it was just some silly movie called like UF. Like,
it is a comedy.
I could definitely see him doing something like that. The name is definitely kind of vague unless you watch it, and I think that's why it's something that's maybe makes it easy to like skip over.
Oh no, it makes a lot more sense now. Like,
you wouldn't know unless you watch the whole thing, kind of.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Thank you both for like really trying to like make me feel better about that.
Well, I mean, it's okay. That's
I don't know. I guess I just didn't see those little dots.
This podcast is more.
I don't think I ever had to say the title out loud, so I never thought.
I feel that way about a lot of words, but anyway, there's so much more than a title to this movie.
I mean, it's like when it's like how long before someone says like it's not Versace, it's Versace.
Oh, yo, that was definitely one of mine. I totally thought.
I'm
it
like,
was
is that
Versace.
like kind of lace?
You know what's a messed up one that on my drive here, I finally found out how to actually say it is Ghislaine Maxwell. I thought it was Ghislaine.
Well, yeah.
Is that bad?
I think a lot of people are calling her that, anyway.
Oh, yeah. Well, now because I feel like I heard people say it and I was like, but they're in on the.
Some of them are.
You think that some people,
I think a lot of people
genuinely think it's Ghislaine? Because I genuinely thought it was Ghislaine.
Well, we have a tough time with that's like a French name, right?
Ghislaine.
Ghislaine. Yeah, it sounds French. I don't know. I'm looking to Megan for confirmation.
All right. I feel like I've derailed this enough.
Sounds French.
I just,
no, it's okay. So it's not UF.
No,
it's not UF. For anyone who hasn't seen this movie, this is the basic plot. George Newman, our main character, he's a shiftless dreamer, right? That's fair. And he's handed an opportunity to manage a small UHF station and become successful through his offbeat programming. That is like the closest thing to a summary we can get to.
Yeah.
What it really is, though, is just like one long clothesline that they hang a bunch of parody sketches off of, and which makes sense because Weird Al is a parody artist. So I think the guy who directed this and wrote it and kind of conceived it with him is literally his manager. So they were just trying to find let's just translate this to film, because at this point Weird Al had, was like sort of successful in what he was doing in music. So they were looking for, I don't know, a vehicle.
I watched some of it with the commentary with Weird Al and the director. And I mean, it's funny because they seem so enthusiastic throughout the whole thing. And it literally starts with, Weird Al, like, why did you direct this? Like, nobody else wanted to. And we wrote it, so I'll just do it.
Yeah, I will say the studio really was counting on this movie, which is kind of unfortunate. Orion Pictures, which also produced Clifford.
Oh yeah. Oh poor Orion.
I know. Orion Pictures had a troubled
Seeing a trend.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that they are now these sort of cult hit.
It is kind of funny.
They've been re-embraced.
I mean, in another year, Criterion's gonna have the Orion collection.
Yeah, it's got its own niche.
That sounds strange ethos. Well,
thing to it.
I just want to mention that the year this came out, it came out in the summer of 1989, which as I discovered, was the same summer that the following movies came out: Weekend at Bernie's, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Ghostbusters 2, Lethal Weapon 2, Star Trek V, The Final Frontier, Batman, Do the Right Thing, When Harry Met Sally. I mean, it is...
What a stacked year.
Yeah.
And UHF.
Well, somebody...
Yeah.
And UHF.
Somebody aptly pointed out this was a sapling among redwoods. And even if you do kind of like the quirky strangeness of this movie, there was nothing ready to embrace it at that time. It was set up to fail, even if I don't think it was going to be wildly. I'm not with Orion. I don't think they were right to back it. But
this was a $5 million movie.
Yeah.
Well, and apparently
a lot.
That is a lot. But that was the deal, I guess, was they had to stay under 5 million. As long as they could stay under 5 million, they could kind of do whatever they wanted. And
it shows.
It shows. Yeah. I mean, also The Naked Gun came out the year before, which was. I feel like it wasn't.
Maybe they thought they were riding that wave, but they were actually kind of missing the hit.
I think so. Yeah. They were so inspired by Airplane. That was the real inspiration point for this. So.
Yeah, I can definitely feel that.
Yeah.
There were some moments that joke wise very much felt that way. Not the whole way through, but the shouting to the crowd and it's I can't hear you. I can't hear. I felt like it went a beat too long, but then he takes out those little earplugs and he's like, all right, say it again. But it's still fun. Those are always, even if they're groaners, are fun to.
Yeah, there are a lot of people in it that I was like, wow, they're in this and they look so young, and it's right before they're about to take off kind of thing. So in that way, it's fun to watch too, because you get a bit of, that nostalgia, Fran Drescher. And
how great is she? I mean,
so satisfying.
She's adorable.
Totally.
I lit up when I saw her. I'm like, yes.
It's just a very fun energy. It's so it's underrated presence, that comes up.
Well, and of course, Michael Richards, right? This was...
Yeah, a lot of him. A lot of the mop stuff, which was pretty good.
Yeah. I liked the mop arc. I did like that, you know?
Yeah, that
paid off.
It ended up being integral to the story, which was not what I
There's some good storytelling elements here.
That was really a nice surprise, actually. That really, I loved that.
Good for 'em.
That was a delight.
Yeah.
Also,
my favorite line in the whole thing was, that mop was given to me when I was 8 years old. Or something like that. They're just so into that mop.
it's like a family antique heirloom mop. Yeah. No, he had such an affinity for it. And it didn't matter. There's a lot of things like that in this movie where it's like, it doesn't really matter why. It just is, There were a lot of really fun moments. Just another note on casting, I want to say, Tony Geary, who was in General Hospital, he was the Luke in the Luke and Laura. He was the Luke character, and he was very pretty and handsome, and that was the role. He plays Philo in this, the kind of mad scientist guy at the station. Yeah,
that guy.
Yeah, who I love, by the way. Great fucking character. But he really wanted to get away from that role. That, like, first of all, it was I believe it, but it was really, really hard for soap actors to transition out of soaps and get into, like, film and more legitimate television.
He made a choice.
He did.
No. So he thought this was going to be, he thought was going to be.
This is,
I don't know if he thought this was going to, like, fix any of that. But
just break the cycle.
I think what he got to do was have fun. He was like, I got to do all this fun, small work. I got to play against type. He loved it. He said it was just a delight. And a lot of the people who worked on this film did say filming was really fun.
Yeah.
And it was filmed in Tulsa, so it was outside the Hollywood bubble, and that also saved money. But it meant that they used a lot of extras from Dallas, and the Tulsa area. So it's different faces and different types of people in the mix. And just a thing I learned in researching this was while they were filming it, they actually used, like, there was this vacant mall, because this was like right at the end of, like, there was an oil bust that happened. And so a bunch of money fell out of the area. So they were using this old mall to, like, build sets, and there was a hotel attached. Everything was just connected. So you could, like, take a hotel elevator down to the mall and, like, just walk on to wherever. They used the theater in the mall to like screen dailies. I mean, they really, like, inhabited the place. I'm like, God, that sounds like fun.
That's so cool.
I want to be there.
That'd be fun to be just poking around in that environment.
Just wanted to.
Feels like there aren't as many opportunities for those kinds of sets these days. So everything's so digital. Old man yelling at cloud moment.
Yes, of course.
I want more practical scenery.
I mean,
it definitely got, like, the small town kind of vibe from it. Like, it did really feel like it was the small town radio station. That was taken over by this kooky guy.
I mean, that's, like, it has, like, a nostalgia for, like, media in that time. Like, I can sort of just barely remember, like, UHF stations, growing up, because we didn't have cable, so you would just do anything to explore whatever could come in on the dial, whatever you could get on the antenna. And sometimes you would find these weird things, and they'd be showing crappy movies or whatever. I don't know, but there's something about, like, the subculture of it, and the offbeat, and the literal, like, you're pushed to the absolute end of the signal. Like, we can't like, we don't want you anywhere near the main whatever. But there was something really, it's such a fantasy, the thought of being handed, like, here's a TV station, program whatever you want, like, I mean, there is, like, something, of course it wouldn't be as easy as it seems in this movie, but I don't know, that sounds pretty awesome to me. And
having your own constant network of just putting up whatever you want,
just like my own TV network. I mean, I guess that's what streamers do now, right? Like, I mean, that's kind of the extent.
Like, he was an original influencer in his own way.
Exactly. There we go.
I definitely kind of felt like the dreams were gonna kind of tie in more, and that could have been interesting, but like, the dream parts were more about, like, his love for Hollywood movies and that kind of parody stuff. And then,
I mean,
it didn't quite marry with the premise of the story.
Because it starts with that great, like, the Indiana Jones thing.
Right?
Like, that good. Is that, like, when you say dreams, like, is this one of the things you're thinking of?
And then at the end, the Rambo stuff too.
Right, the Rambo.
And in the middle, it was all the kind of low budget indie stuff. So it's kind of like they used a lot of their budget at the beginning and end, and then the middle was all the indie
I think
station kind of stuff.
I totally you're right. There's a lot of, like, it's a bit of a quilt, like, we're kind of patching together, like, different materials, and I think, those pieces at the beginning are so much more like those dreams are so much more about parody than they are. But it's funny because I don't know, the whole UHF station is such a genius vehicle though for parody ideas. Like, I'm sorry, but Conan the Librarian got me, especially when he slices the kid in half and he like splits down the middle. I laugh my ass off when that happened.
Oh, I love that. This very much reminded me of like what 30 Rock eventually would do, you know, in terms of just these crazy shows and the cuts and the fun of like really leaning into the jokes of that.
And I also think the first thing that actually made me really laugh was Spatula City.
Oh God, that's easily my favorite segment still.
Like the people giving it to each other on their anniversary.
Just the word spatula is already just so funny, and in every context is like, spatulas are a great Christmas present. Isn't it time you gave that special someone a spatula? Like,
Martha, what a wonderful spatula.
That one and Plots Are Us.
Oh,
I love that was good.
Oh yeah.
Are you tired of sloppy graveyard?
All the legs and arms sticking out.
And they just have limbs sticking out.
I'm always going to think that now. In Midsommar, there's a scene that is always going to remind me of that now. It made me think that initially. I was like, that was a silly moment.
Yeah.
And
what was with that animated, like, trippy music video?
Oh yeah.
Felt so like
out of place,
random and out of place,
like an MTV reference or something.
You know,
maybe?
I remember
because it was a music video
that was definitely played like on MTV and places beyond that. But because I remember seeing that, I also remember. Okay, so I grew up near Paramount's Kings Island in Ohio, which is like it was just Kings Island, but then Paramount bought it, which meant everything got this like movie revamp. All the rides names changed, and when you waited online, they showed you clips from the Paramount catalog and all kinds of bullshit. But I remember they used to show this video like while we waited to ride, you know, the Vortex or the Beast or whatever the fuck. And so I've seen this like. Even though I've never, like, that's the other thing, this movie, I think it still fits our rule of, like, have we seen it? We haven't seen it. But I know my brothers rented this when we were growing up.
Oh, sure.
Because I remember the Indiana...
that far out of your memory,
I remember the Indiana Jones thing, and I remember there was a transition to a burger on a grill. Mm-hmm. That was all I could remember.
Yeah.
And then this video. So I kind of, like, this was a weird kind of fever dream for me. I'm like, have I seen this? Does this already, like, made some impression on me at a young age?
I relate in a way to that, just because I thought this was a different movie that was possibly something I watched a long time ago. There's like a Howard Stern movie that
Private Parts.
I don't know why I thought
so terrible.
that these were. I conflate. Yeah, that's so terrible with me. But I definitely, their hair made me conflate those two movies for like a hot second. And I had like an ex of mine had that playing at like a friend's place, that the Private Parts, and yeah, I think it took me a hot second to realize this was not that either. So there's just a lot of discoveries that happened for me with this movie.
No, it's
I think one thing that kind of can keep it like in that cult status is like how it is in those segments. So like if you're not into one, there's going to be other parts that make you laugh.
Very true.
So
something for everybody.
Yeah, and it was kind of sorry. Yeah, so in that, like, I think it's kind of timeless because there can be one thing that people know, but they don't know the rest of it, but they know that one segment from, like, you know, seeing it somewhere.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I know we've already talked about it, but seriously, I would have been so proud to have written a sketch like Spatula City. Like, I would have, that would be on my reel.
So simple.
Oh, so simple.
And so effective at the same time. And
it's the tone. It's
a great scene too. Like if just when walking through and like the spatulas are just so randomly, cheaply assorted on
the sign, like bar mitzvah.
Yeah.
So good.
There's like a giant spatula behind the manager.
The whole thing. It's even like them at the beginning, the whole family all excited, like the kids are running to get into the car to go to Spatula City, like it's Disney World.
He does that when the father does that face of like, you know, get in the car, kids.
Let's go. I wasn't ready to leave Spatula City yet. I have written down. Oh, okay. So there's one moment that was very visceral for me. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah.
The hot dog in the Twinkie with Cheese Whiz dipped in a glass of milk.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah, I did write a note. on that.
Yeah, that's valid.
So that definitely stuck out.
Yeah, that was.
I wanted to vomit.
And I wrote kind of good question mark.
Is that like GIF? There's like that girl who like drinks the kombucha and she's just like no.
Yeah, that. Yeah, the two faces. Yeah. Well, apparently, Babish did it. The internet like chef Babish did this, and
I wonder.
He said it was good. I mean, I don't buy it, but he's I had to mention the hot dog and the Twinkie.
He's very good at trying to like as faithfully as possible recreate those recipes.
Oh, no,
so I'd be curious to check out how that went.
You know, for anyone listening at home, go check that out. The U.H.F. hot dog. Ugh. I was wondering the whole time what the hell kind of car Weird Al drives. Yeah, that was like, it was like a 2-seater. Yeah, strange sort of. I don't know.
Not a coupe thing.
I don't know why I thought it looked Turkish. I don't know that it was. But I'm like, I bet that's like a Turkish car. There's like, I don't know. There's so many strange details in here.
The science lab TV guy.
Yeah.
What was his story?
He was an alien.
That was wild at the end too, with that claymation.
There was never any explanation of why he was there,
why he lived there.
My work here is done.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure if I missed something.
No.
Somehow, but yeah,
you missed nothing. It was not.
Wasn't explained.
It was explained at the end. I think maybe to explain all that, but not explain it.
Because I was like, what was his title at the TV station?
I don't know. He just was there.
Did he have one?
I guess he was like engineer. I guess like every TV station has to have somebody who knows how like all the tubes work,
But it was also his house.
But he also lived there.
His house and a science lab.
And it's like on the edge of town. And I love that this whole thing begins because it's the deed to this station as won in a poker game.
Yeah.
Like the main character George just has this gambling addicted uncle, and like that's kind of how he ends up almost losing it at the end. So I don't know, as far as devices go, I'm actually not upset with that one. I feel like throw a gambler in the mix, that can fuck shit up.
Why not? I mean, Elvira inherits a thing. Like it's a fun device, like to get you into the fish out of water.
I'm gonna accept it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's a fun way to do it.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just thinking about, there's a lot of like kind of quasi-violent moments in this movie. Yeah. And I found out that they were trying to convince the creators of this film, like you want like a PG rating for this. And they kind of like, not that PG-13 is such a difference, but they kind of said, nah. And mostly because he wanted to be able to have that shop teacher, like saw his finger off at the beginning.
Oh man.
And then there's like, he whips the guy's arm off. Yeah. There's like, I mean, I did love the Rambo scene, if nothing else, just for that bodysuit he was wearing. But
that was really fun.
But there's like, there's a lot of like real juvenile, like itchy and scratchy level, like violent humor to this. That's awesome. All right, cool.
Yeah, it definitely goes with the parody kind of throwback vibe.
Yeah. No, it's funny. I'm trying to think of other cogent things I can say about this movie. I'm like literally flipping through my notes. I have at least one review here from Gene Siskel. Never has a comedy tried so hard and failed so often to be funny. That's a little harsh.
Brutal. You're out of touch, old man.
He wasn't in a good mood.
No.
Yeah.
Something
tells me this wasn't the kind of movie that was aiming to please.
No, you know what? No, definitely not. And I think that's kind of why, if I'm going to defend it, I'm going to defend it because of its like quirky weirdness and its oddballness, and like the fact that, like what we were saying, like, well, if you don't like this thing, you're definitely going to like something else, because like it's
a little something for everybody in it, humor wise. I feel like, I definitely laughed out loud a few times, that whether it was the parodies or just little lines like, I'm starting to think you guys aren't the pizza guy.
Oh god,
that was probably the hardest. I laughed just because it was already such a dumb, this dumb gag, and then just it was so stupid and perfect.
It worked for you.
It really that hit the spot.
I should mention those teeth are fake. Like those teeth he had. Michael Richards had like a tooth kit. And this was a character. I mean, what's really kind of, I know Michael Richards, obviously, we all know, like, right, he's made a fool of himself, like, on stage in that most infamous way. But, in reading about him in this picture, don't know. I gain like a new not I won't say a perspective that validates that in any way. It doesn't, but I gained some perspective into him just as a performer, as a creative kind of being. And I guess like, in this film, he didn't spend a lot of time like chit chatting with people. He spent a lot of time alone, like meditating and doing yoga. And this guy's like yeah. And he's like, he's very much like a Strasbourg, like classically trained kind of guy. And when you think about how confident he is in his body and his performance, and the thing that really like gets people, it's so much like it's like clowning, he has like this really old kind of understanding of like funny, but he's so serious about it in this way, or at least he was at the time of this filming.
He's a method comedic actor.
Yeah, which is probably insufferable to be around, but I don't know, I thought that was interesting. Like I didn't have that sense of him, but I kind of can see how like, and he stepped right into doing Kramer after this, like that. I think that fall Seinfeld was to premiere.
Right.
So
yeah, I think it said this came out the same year as the first year of Seinfeld or something.
Yeah. So he was just about to.
It took me a while to even recognize him.
Yeah. He's really young in this. I mean, and yeah, I mean, I don't want to say like he can only play this character, but it really did feel on the same spectrum as like a Kramer, as far as like, again, the physicality of the performance.
You can have, I feel like definitely there are comedic actors who have their thing, and
he's got a thing.
He's got his thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Kramer almost felt like an even toned back version.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Kramer felt a little saner.
Kind of like they took this and were like, like they took UHF and were like, okay, let's craft this a little bit.
They're like, well, instead of making him a janitor, we're going to make him a hipster.
Yeah.
Like that's how we'll change it. So he'll be a little cooler. No, it's an interesting movie. I mean, I'm glad it exists. I'll just say that. I'm glad it exists. Yeah,
kind of disappointing that Weird Al didn't do any more movies, because I felt like, or maybe he did.
I don't think he has. And in fact, there have been multiple calls to like make some kind of a sequel, but he's like, no, like, it's this thing, it's this time, like it's just, it's its own weird thing. But I agree. I mean, I think I have a lot more respect for Weird Al as well, not necessarily because of this movie, but in general. Like, I think when I was a kid, I loved him because all kids, I think, well, I mean, not all, but I definitely like enjoyed Weird Al. Our whole family did. But then you got to like a certain age where you're like, oh, I can like this, but I can't tell anyone I like this because it's just like kind of nerdy and weird, and no one's gonna be my friend if they find out I like this. So like it was like this secret thing. So then I was like, no, I don't like that. And it's like I've had to come around like all the way years and years later, where now I'm like, oh no, he's like a comedic genius and and has been making like consistently funny stuff for a long time, and the genius of it just being like he uses the catchiness of a song against itself.
Yes, absolutely.
He somehow weaponizes.
He does it well. I mean, I definitely remember when Running with Scissors came out, and that was a very like formative like comedy experience. Like that was like, this is really funny and smart, and he's good at the music parts too. Like he's a smart dude. Like I feel like I you can see that watching UHF. They're like, it's not like it's not like it's an incompetent movie, but like Patchwork Quilt, where it's like there's a lot of great parts. It kind of reminds me in a way of like The Nowhere Inn, where it's like there are some like really good bones in this pile, and it's like seeing a creative person like stretch themselves out in a medium, different from what they're usually doing, and
totally,
and having fun with it. Like that's
definitely looks like they had fun.
I'm
like a little jealous.
I think people were probably expecting more of the parody stuff, and then it slowly had one kind of parody song and went into this rabbit hole of weirdness, and so that probably threw some people off, and why it would kind of not do well at first, because it wasn't what they were expecting, but like would slowly find its audience.
I mean, definition cult, right? Like, I mean, it finds a new life either like on a VHS tape in this case, or cable. I feel like Comedy Central showed UHFs a few times, maybe just like really late at night.
Yeah, maybe it was. Yeah, it could just be in our subconscious.
It's actually, we've already all seen it, or it's like been played over our sleeping bodies as we like slept on a sofa somewhere.
It's been out there, you know.
It's in the ether. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it has like this funny, I wrote down the phrase like Capra like populism, in that it's very much like about a little guy against the big guy. And as far as that, like the story works, it's satisfying. I want the little guy to win. I'm happy. There's also that kind of full circle with the homeless
girlfriend?
guy. Oh, that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Oh, the homeless guy.
yeah, because at the beginning he's like, change. And it becomes this joke where instead of it's a joke at this guy's expense for asking for change, it's like he's actually trying to make change for $1. Like, so it's an even exchange. There's no begging going on. And I want to call him Al, but his name is George in the show. But you know, he does that with him and no judgment, and then the guy goes off on his merry way, and then he's like rejected by, you know, all these other, and of course he's the one who comes in at the end with the money they need, right?
Yeah.
To like to push through and raise the money. I don't know, it's just, it feels very much like It's a Wonderful Life kind of moment, right? Like, you know, where the whole town comes out, and it's and that's what I mean when I say like it's Capra, like it's definitely got this kind of populist thing going on, and they make the villain properly hateful and hateable. You know, that actor looked so familiar to me. It was driving me crazy, and I didn't even look it up.
I totally get what you're saying. I
Sure,
don't know
it's satisfying for someone to be listening to.
I'm sure.
Remember when she couldn't remember that guy's name?
Yeah, remember she didn't do every single ounce of research.
Yep. Great radio.
Let's see.
Crazy.
Megan's good. She's looking at it.
Yeah, he had one of those faces.
Exactly.
That was like, I feel like I've seen you in
I know
probably
I've seen
30
him.
different movies.
And he's probably like, I feel like he plays like white villains in blaxploitation movies.
Yeah.
Like that's the vibe he has. He might not
I
actually
could totally see that though.
But I feel like he looks like that.
Yeah.
But then again, what old white guy couldn't play?
He does it well though. Like he carries it well.
Well, he had like
this is him.
It was like
Kevin McCarthy.
Kevin McCarthy. Okay, I think he is
That's
like
a familiar name.
I think he is like a big deal, because I think I read this really long like oral history of UHF, and they were talking about getting him, and that being like a big deal. Cool. Thank you for looking that up. Kevin McCarthy. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I also found out the original suggested title they wanted was like Vidiot instead of UHF. Vidiot. So just that's all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't feel like it would fit as well, but like
The international title ended up being The Vidiot from UHF.
oh, that's fun.
Oh.
I like the extended, like a full.
You like that? Yeah.
I like it having like a short name, but then a longer name, like Birdman,
Yeah.
or like the unexpected virtue of ignorance. I think is something like that.
Unbearable lightness of being.
Umby. That's what I call that one.
That's good.
Yeah.
Like a BOGO.
If they had called it Weird Al's anything, it probably would have done a little better.
Maybe. I mean, I'm just thinking
Or
about all those movies that
More
came
people
out.
would have known what it was.
Yeah, no, fair, totally. And again, it's tragic that they were really counting on this one.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, really. Orion's like, this is gonna do it. This is gonna save the studio.
And then they made Clifford after this.
Yeah. And that I
Just
think really was they went bankrupt, and that's why
That's
Clifford took forever.
Spirit breaking stuff for sure.
Really is.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah. Oh.
Trying to be the goofy underdog and then suffering the consequences. This is the opposite of a Capra type deal.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Because in reality, that's why people criticize Capra, because it's so unrealistic.
Right.
You know, because it's like you shouldn't make the poor feel romantic about their own poverty.
Yeah.
Which I agree with, you know, but I also love It's a Wonderful Life, so sue me, you know.
Yeah, it's thoroughly embedded into our.
This is like It's a Wonderful Life for people who don't want to see It's a Wonderful Life, because it has all those elements in it. That's what I'm going to call this. That's my review.
Very much so.
Yeah.
It reminded me a bit like vibe-wise too of Empire Records, where there's all these little secondary thingies happening, but ultimately
different
like
timelines.
Yeah.
Different character timelines. Yeah.
Yeah. And but then there's this dude in a suit who's like an asshole, and but then they raise the money in time.
Yeah.
in front of a big crowd and
Yeah,
all
I mean,
that
it's
stuff.
like all on the popularity of this janitor falling ass backwards into a children's show, right? I mean, like that's really what launches the whole station.
Which is that was a very fun scene too.
I did like how it was like the big deal prize on that show was getting to drink from the fire hose.
yeah.
The fire hose.
Oh
my
yeah.
gosh.
Also, he runs out of the
Yeah.
audience and starts giving people squirts of whipped cream out of the can. And there's one guy he does it to, and that I learned was Dr. Demento, who is like a radio dude who also in the same mix with like Weird Al and stuff. But I saw that in the credits. I was like, oh, Dr. Demento. It's fun to say Dr. Demento. So there it is.
It is a
three
fun
times.
name. It's a fun name. Yeah.
Yeah. The kids in that movie were stars for sure.
Oh yeah.
That were just in the audience for all those shows.
Yeah.
The one who spits on Weird Al and then just like kind of like calmly keeps looking at him like self-satisfied but not in like it's subtle acting.
Yeah.
It's like a brutal jest and just a very subtle like
Kids are the best.
continue.
Best actors.
Like it was so I was impressed. I was impressed with that naughty kid.
Yeah, it really looked like everyone again had fun.
Yeah.
Like I think for some people you probably didn't ever get to have this much fun again.
Yeah.
Right. Like
Yeah, there's not a lot of, I mean, still
Not to
not a
make it
lot
that
of
sad.
these kind of movies getting made, these
well,
days,
and just
but-
I mean, I can't get over this like, filming being outside of like Hollywood, just filming in Tulsa. It's like you become like this little, it's like camp or something. You know?
Yeah.
It's like you're together with all these people.
It's very, it very much has that
Yeah.
scrappy vibes.
Yeah.
Scrappy vibes.
Plus, I mean, I think Fran Drescher, like, she auditioned and they knew right away they wanted her. And, it was just like, she's like, yeah, I don't know. I got a call. And then I was flying to Oklahoma the next day. Like, it was just like a lot of faith that this would be okay and turn out all right.
It's still fun watch though,
Yeah.
Yeah. There was another moment I just also really wanted to say that I loved, which was that Wheel of Fish show. And then there's the box, and then when it's nothing,
Oh my God.
you're so stupid.
That actor says people shout that at him all the time still. Yeah, no, that was
Oh shit, that was there's something for everybody, like you said, Meg. There's something for everybody.
yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. God. Just
Yeah,
shout out
it's
to that
kind of like
moment.
anytime you start to zone out, there's something that happens that
That
pulls
brings
you
you
in.
right back in.
it's like,
You're like, what the
Yeah.
fuck?
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Wheel of
I
Fish
mean,
was great.
some of it too. I mean, I did really enjoy the Rambo parody at the end. If nothing else, just for the part where he like catches the bullet with his teeth and then spits it
right.
back and it just like explodes. You know, like I mean, there is something about it's such a childlike mind. One question I'd like to ask, is this a certain movie you think like you put on at a party and just like walk away?
Yes.
Yeah, that's so
Yes.
perfect. Yeah.
I think this is a perfect party movie, actually, because it is that kind of thing that you can zone in and out, and the plot really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
True.
At all.
So true.
You're not watching it for plot, you're watching it for jokes and
Yeah.
gags and stuff. So
Cool.
yes, party.
All
That
right.
is so on the money.
All right.
Yeah, perfectly stated.
I don't have parties, but I like to think about what movies I would play at them.
This is absolutely one of those
Yes.
movies.
That's how I do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I don't know what else. I mean, I would be delighted if they showed it on a plane just for its strangeness. That would be okay. I'd watch that movie on a plane, at a party.
If it happened to be playing on a TV in like in a bar in an old restaurant, that's actually how my first memory of watching Star Wars: A New Hope was. Actually, like I was really young and I was at Conrad's in Glendale and they were playing Star Wars: A New Hope. But if UF was on, if UHF was on,
Maybe it is UF.
I don't know.
You're like, it's
I'm
not.
gonna say UF more, but I know it's UHF, but now
good
it's always gonna be I'm gonna say UF and then be like, sorry, UHF.
Good callback.
Yeah. Anyway, good times. True.
I was gonna say one other place that would be great to play this would be like at an art installation, or like if you
sure.
need something to just project in the background of like a band playing
Yes.
or something.
Totally.
There's some trippy shit in here.
That's
so-
true. Actually, now I'm thinking about like when we would have our sketch shows and have interstitials. Is it like wrong to steal from another community? I mean, it wouldn't be stealing.
No, I think people have done that for their interstitials where they'll play scenes from other movies or whatever. And it's not, technically it's copywritten, but if you're not making money on it, it's okay.
Oh,
I don't know. I don't know what the rules
I didn't
are
mean
for that
more
shit.
like as a copyright law issue. I meant more just like the ethics of like being a comedian and showing like, what if your show isn't as funny as UHF?
See, I only was worried about the legal issues, but like beyond that, I say go for it.
Say go for it.
I say lean in.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen some really bad movies lately. And
we sure have.
I recently went to a wedding and I came back to the room and Jaws 2 was on, and I've never seen Jaws 2. And it's not that good. And then Jaws 3 was on after, or Jaws 3D rather.
Oh my God.
And that was hilariously bad. So I kind of feel like my brain's a little bit mushy.
Yeah, we need to get some fiber back in your diet.
Yeah, but I do want to say, like, I don't think this was a totally empty movie, though.
No, there's like some trace amounts of fiber in this,
there's
especially compared to other things that have been watched.
Well, I think there's like a lot of really smart jokes. There's a lot of really silly jokes, and I think like that smart and silly thing. Sometimes you're gonna miss, but like I really like that attitude or that posture. Like I thought this had a lot of joy in it. It was not mean spirited.
Totally,
it was just joyful, and it's hard to like rag on things that are trying to create joy. Like
it definitely felt like Weird Al kind of going like experimental art film a bit, and I think like that's probably where it got a little, like people didn't know what to expect or something. They were expecting his parody stuff and they got something definitely darker.
Yeah.
I think that was kind of like what would have thrown people off.
There's a bit more under the surface there.
Yeah.
Well, thank God,
It's true.
Do you think any lessons from UHF you'll carry forward into your filmmaking?
Well, I bought the DVD, so
all right,
I can watch it again. And
you bought it? Oh my God.
Good for you.
Yeah, gotta support Weird Al.
Good for you. Yeah, wow. And Orion Pictures now financially defunct.
Well, because I wanted to also be able to watch it with commentary, because I wanted to hear his like memory of it. But
that's cool.
Yeah. I think that's smart, actually.
Yeah, like I mean, what else did you glean from that commentary? I realized we didn't pick your brain about that.
Well, I only got like halfway, but
okay, fair.
I mean, like the director barely said anything. He just seemed like so like unenthused about the whole thing, which was pretty funny. I could get the sense that this was one of Weird Al's babies, and it was really his thing. I think
you're right.
It was really his thing.
Yeah, I think they just kind of made space for him to do it. I mean, the fact that his manager is the director and co-writer. It's pretty obvious whose career this is about.
Yeah.
So,
right.
Yeah. Well, shit.
Well,
shit. Are there any nagging questions, lingering thoughts, miscellaneous
No, I mean, the biggest question I had was like, who the hell was that science lab guy? And it turned out to be the alien. Because I thought, like, just what is the explanation of what? Like, no one questions why he's here.
You're right.
That was it.
Yeah.
You don't get to know. It reminds me of a Jim Jarmusch movie, actually, that involves a similar story beat, and you never get an answer. And I think thematically, they're same exact reasoning for both films.
I think you're right.
You're not supposed to know.
Yep.
You're not supposed to know why. That's not important. No. But you are supposed to wonder. You're just not supposed to know. You're not allowed. You don't get to know.
Yeah. You're not allowed to know.
The joke's on you.
It's like, that whole in Futurama, the Atlantis episode, when they're underwater, Zoidberg's house burns down under the water. Hermes is like, how is that even possible? And then Bender picks up his cigar out of the burnt out rubble, and he's like, oh, that's where I put my cigar. And Hermes is like, that just raises further questions. And I feel like that's the alien Philo thing. It's like, oh, he's an alien, but it's like, well, wait.
Yeah.
I need another movie.
It's weird.
Yeah, he needs a spin-off.
He was pretty great. I think he was right after Fran, favorite character.
Yeah, no, he was a lot of fun.
But Fran is my favorite.
Yeah.
So. I want to say thanks again to Megan. You can follow Megan on Instagram at Daisy Eagle Films. Or she also has a website, MeghanWeinstein.com. And that's Megan. You've got an H after the G. I should, it'll be in the title of this episode. I'm not going to spell it out,
They'll see.
They'll figure it out. They'll see. But check out Meghan Weinstein. Check out The Influencer.
Hell yeah.
Check out us.
Check us out.
Check us out. And if you have time, hit us up on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah,
Leave us a review,
that'd be cool.
please.
Yes, yeah.
And we're on Letterboxd too.
Yes.
We put pithy little reviews that can give you a little chuckle.
Hell yeah.
So get on there. Anything else we can promote of yours, Megan?
No.
That's it. Just you as a person too. I get to know Megan. She's great. And I'm glad we got to do this.
Hell yeah.
Thank you guys.
All right. We made it.
Thank you for listening to A Breath of Fresh Movie. You can follow us on Twitter, or you can follow us on Instagram at Fresh Movie Pod. You can email us, we actually prefer that, at abreathoffreshmovie@gmail.com.